Hi, I'm Melissa Cobb. Come fly with AOPA. This week, we take you back to the basics on fueling your aircraft, look at an early analysis on a recent banner tow accident, and catch up with the swamp people.
AOPA keeps flying safe, accessible, and fun by protecting your freedom to fly. We are the most trusted one-stop resource for all things related to general aviation. Become an AOPA pilot today.
Well, it's always good to go back to the basics, and that includes fueling your own aircraft. It's something we all need to know. We can't always rely on the FBO to come and do it. Plus, when we're out, it's cheaper to do self-serve yourself. AOPA social media marketer Kayla Hunt gives us a primer on fueling our own aircraft.
First things first, we need to chalk the aircraft and remove the fuel cap. The next thing that we need to do is we need to ground the aircraft. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna grab these clamps. This is our grounding cable, and I'm gonna walk over to the airplane and ground it at the tie-down hook, but any bare metal surface could work. Before we do our next step, which is paying for our fuel, we want to double, triple check that we are parked in front of the pump that says Avgas 100 low lead. After ensuring that you're parked at the right pump, we're just gonna go ahead and follow the prompts here on the screen. So I always make sure to fill up by the gallon amount. If you go ahead and push this fill up button on the screen, you'll sometimes be charged upwards of $250 on your credit card statement. You will get this money back, but who likes seeing extra money on their credit card bill? Now that we have paid for our fuel, all we need to do now is turn the pump on. Since we are fueling an RV, we don't have to worry about getting the ladder out to reach the top of the wing, as you would have to do in a high-wing aircraft like a Cessna 172. If you were fueling a high-wing aircraft, you would follow these exact steps, except you would be standing up on a ladder. It's important to not rest the nozzle anywhere, as this could cause damage. It also helps to hold the hose straight over your shoulder so the nozzle stays straight up and down. While you're fueling, it's important to control the flow of fuel to avoid splashing and to watch the fuel level to avoid overflow. So now that I'm done fueling, I'm just gonna put the cap right back on. So now all we have to do is walk the hose back to the pump. We're actually going to use this little black button here on the side of the hose reel. This will help us get the hose back onto the reel. It makes it a lot easier. And when you're using this black button, it's important to feed the hose back onto the reel as evenly as possible. Next up, we have to remove the grounding cable and put it back on its reel. So one of the most important things that you need to do after putting gas in your airplane is to sump the fuel to make sure you don't have any contaminants. Last but certainly not least, make sure to grab that receipt. You're ready to fly.
The AOPA Air Safety Institute has released a new early analysis of a recent banner tow accident that happened in Hollywood, Florida. The pilot of the Piper Pawnee was killed in that accident. Now, AOPA Senior Vice President of the Air Safety Institute, Richard McSpadden, breaks down the accident, and he also talks to AOPA's very own Alicia Heron, who used to work as a banner tow pilot, to add some extra perspective and context.
The banner tower took off from Pembroke Pines, Florida, and was headed towards the coast, the Atlantic coast, to tow the banner up and down off the coast of Miami. A young pilot, on media reports just his second or third maybe flight after his checkout, en route, he never gets above about 700 or 800 feet, and he reports some kind of problem. We're not sure. He talks to tower. We can see from the ADSB tracks and see from the video that he's at a high angle of attack and he's struggling to climb the airplane any higher. And he advises the tower controller that he's going to look for a field to drop the banner. He ends up dropping the banner, and as soon as he drops the banner, the aircraft rolls hard to the right and then off to the left into a spin in a crash, and the pilot dies. Nobody on the ground is injured. Alicia, you've seen the video. Tell me your impressions of this operation.
Right, so banner towing, this is obviously a tragedy, and I feel like whenever we have a banner towing accident, it's often very similar to this. It's either engine trouble in the air or it's trouble on the pick. For this pilot, reading the report about how new this pilot was to banner towing and listening to the audio and hearing and seeing the decisions that he made, what this says to me is this really is the result of just being new to banner towing and a lack of experience, because banner towing is definitely a higher risk operation because you are flying low, you're flying in a different state than normal because you have the banner on the back of your airplane is going to act differently. And most of us, when we're getting our time and experience and we're becoming commercial pilots, we're not flying a banner plane, We're flying a normal airplane that operates in a way that we can anticipate. But once you get into the banner plane, you're basically learning a new way of flying.
You can watch the full early analysis on the Air Safety Institute's YouTube channel. Just click on the link in the upper right of your screen and it'll take you right there. Well, some sad news. Former Air Force pilot Brian Scholl has died. He is well known throughout the aviation industry, especially his story of triumph over tragedy. So he was flying close air support in Vietnam when his aircraft was shot down, and he sustained severe injuries and was told that he would never be able to fly again. Well, he determined to recover and to fly, and he actually became one of a select group of pilots to fly the SR-71 Blackbird spy plane. He also worked as a motivational speaker, amazing photographer. Many of his photographs that he took from the SR-71 Blackbird to give us unique perspectives of Earth. He was just a great guy, great and entertaining to listen to. He spoke at one of our AOPA aviation summits, and I had the opportunity to meet and talk to him in person during a Great Alaska Aviation Gathering one year. He was 75, and we just want to extend our condolences to the family. Well, Textron Aviation has unveiled a new jet. It's the Cessna Citation Ascend. It's part of the 560XL series. It will feature Garmin G5000, Pratt & Whitney Canada PW545D engines. Textron Aviation said that the preliminary performance targets show that it should have a 4-passenger range of 1,900 nautical miles at high-speed cruise power. It should cruise at 441 knots and be able to climb direct to 45,000 feet. On the engine front, DeltaHawk has received FAA certification for its engine that can be powered by Jet A and sustainable aviation jet fuels. It's a 180 horsepower DHK 180 engine, but said to be 40% more fuel efficient than engines burning avgas. Engine and engine kit deliveries should start next year. Well, it's not often that we hear about a landing facility that's been closed reopening, but that's the case in Turner, Maine. Now, Twitchell Airport was closed and sold, and it remains closed. However, the owners reserved the right to keep the seaplane base part of that airport, and they have the dock, the fueling area, and they had an agreement that they could reopen it, and that's just what they've done. So the Twitchell Seaplane Base in Maine is now reopened. You can fly in, land, dock there, and buy fuel. So great news for seaplane pilots up in the Northeast. Well, Federal Air Surgeon Dr. Susan Northrup is working to get pilots who've been grounded because of mental health issues back in the air. Well, Dr. Northrup spoke about the success of a certain type of antidepressant for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor medications. They were actually approved for pilot use back in 2010, and she announced plans to add 7 more SSRIs to the approved list. So that's going to be good news for some pilots. Now, here's some more good news coming, and that is going to be an overhaul of the NOTAM system. A bill is headed to the president's desk to be signed into law, and AOPA worked with stakeholders in the Senate to get a deadline included for when the modernization of the NOTAM system and a backup system needs to be in place, and that date is September 30th, 2024. All right, now for some fun. Let's join AOPA Senior Features Editor Julie Walker as she takes a tour with some of the cast from The Swamp People. That's the show on the History Channel.
We used to bite them between the eyes. Grab them, you got to wrestle them down and bite them between the eyes, but they won't let us do that now.
Bite them between the eyes?
No.
Every episode of the show, the preview before the show airs, they got me coming out the water with a 9-foot alligator on my back.
We flew to the swamp with Southern Seaplane, 2 ships. We took off from their seaport in Belchase, Louisiana, and took a short flight to land at the fish camp. The flying in that area, and especially out into the swamps, is just majestic. Bruce and Ronnie are obviously adventurous. The only way you can get to their camp is by boat or seaplane.
Nice to meet you. This is Bruce.
Hi, Bruce.
Bruce
I'm
Mitchell.
Julie. Nice to meet you guys.
Well, we're going to take the people for a ride on the actual boat that we used to catch gators with. Well, Ryan, where we going to take them?
Well, let's just go take them on our little tour we do. We're going to head on down and go to what we call Oak Alley. We're going to take y'all through some beautiful oak trees that overlap that like a tunnel of love, my baby, but in a swamp.
Yeah.
Ronnie opened up the boat and we just took off. And that part I loved because we were like flying across the water. Ronnie wanted us to see an alligator so badly. And I was like, oh, please don't let me see an alligator. Please don't let me see an alligator. We never did because of cold snap. And he was so apologetic and I was so thankful. Overall, Ronnie and Bruce were great hosts. The swamp tour, while it was out of my comfort zone, was a really great experience. It was kind of hard leaving because they were so kind and so interesting and fun to be with, but all good things come to an end, so we had to get our gear together, pack up, climb up into the seaplane, and roar back to civilization.
Hey, Julie, that looked like an awesome experience.
Well, Alyssa, awesome has different meanings for everyone. The idea that we were going to go find alligators and snakes maybe not was all that exciting to me, but no, it was.
Took one for the team.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it was wonderful.
Oh, great. So if anybody else wants to have, this experience and meet some of the cast from the Swamp People, how can they do this?
So I think you might remember that several months ago we talked about Southern Seaplanes, which is a family-owned business in Belchase, Louisiana, right outside of New Orleans. And they're the seaplane operator, and they're the ones that will take visitors out in their seaplanes out over the Gulf to the swamp.
Cool. And so, I understand it's a short flight there. And so what will people experience when they're in the Southern Seaplane, area at the school and in that area, and then once they, make that short flight?
Yeah, so you're in the middle of New Orleans, and so you're going to take off and you're going to get, that whole just cool city vibe and the Mississippi and the big shipping boats in the harbor and all of that, and then all of a sudden you are out in the Gulf and headed towards the bayous and the swamps. So the landscape just changes vividly because you are once in a city and a bustling area, and then you're just in the middle of nowhere that's calm, it's gorgeous. The flight over there was beautiful, really beautiful. I love being in a seaplane anytime, and especially then touching down into the bayou. There was some debris in the water, as there would always be, so we all looked for that. Landed smoothly, and then went right up to Ronnie and Bruce sitting on at their camp.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing all those insights and letting everybody know how they can do it. And I tell you, I can't wait to see, what you got to take for the team next time you get all these cool adventures.
I really do. I'm a pretty lucky girl.
All right. Thanks, Julie.
Bye.
Well, I hope you liked this week's episode of Fly with AOPA. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all our latest videos. And this week, we leave you with some flying footage from Turtles Fly 2. They transported 10 loggerhead sea turtles from the Wonders of Wildlife Aquarium in Missouri and 9 Kemp's Ridley sea turtles from the Atlantic Marine Conservation Society in New York to North Carolina for release back into the ocean at Fort Macon State Park. The turtles flew in 2 Pilatus PC-12s. Well, be sure to send in your favorite flying videos at the link in the description. You just might see them on an upcoming show. And as always, if you're not already an AOPA pilot, we'd love for you to join us. Click the link at the end of the video to learn more about our trial membership. We'll see you next week.